Gluconeogenesis. The term gluconeogenesis can be divided into three parts, that is gluco plus neo plus genesis. Gluco means glucose, neo means new, and genesis means generation. So the process in which there is formation of new glucose molecule is known as gluconeogenesis. It is the synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate precursors such as pyruvate, lactate, propionate, glycerol, etc. It occurs mainly in cytosol and few reactions occurs in mitochondria, and it mainly takes place in liver and kidney. Moving on to the pathway, it is almost the reverse pathway of glycolysis. There are 10 reaction steps in glycolysis, out of which 7 reactions are reversible and 3 reactions are irreversible. So these 3 irreversible steps of glycolysis will be catalyzed by different enzyme for gluconeogenesis. And the reaction are: the first one catalyzed by hexokinase, the second reaction catalyzed by 6-phosphofructokinase, and the third reaction, that is the second last step, which is catalyzed by pyruvate kinase. These 3 reactions are irreversible in glycolysis. So basically we'll work over these 3 reactions for the formation of glucose molecule. Before proceeding, make sure you are well aware about my previous video of glycolysis, that is Epstein-Meyerhof pathway, and TCA cycle, that is Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle, because these two pathways are interrelated with gluconeogenesis. Let's start with the reaction catalyzed by pyruvate kinase. As we know, pyruvate is one of the precursor of gluconeogenesis. So in order to form phosphoenol pyruvate from the pyruvate, as it is irreversible reaction, the pyruvate must be acted upon in any of the two ways. So first one is pyruvate can be converted to oxaloacetate catalyzed by the enzyme pyruvate carboxykinase in the presence of ATP and CO2. Or in the second way, it can either enter TCA cycle, where pyruvate is converted to acetyl coenzyme A, and finally there is a release of malate and oxaloacetate at the end of the cycle. So with both process, there is formation of oxaloacetate, which is acted upon by malate dehydrogenase, catalyzing a reversible reaction between oxaloacetate and malate. As we know, TCA cycle takes place in mitochondria, whereas glycolysis takes place in cytosol. So among the intermediates of TCA cycle, only malate can permeate through the membrane. Hence the pyruvate converted to oxaloacetate, that in turn converted to malate, is finally passed towards the cytosol. So now in cytosol, the malate is already transported to cytosol, and there is also the presence of malate dehydrogenase, the similar enzyme that is present in the mitochondria, which catalyze the reaction between oxaloacetate and malate. So malate is again converted to oxaloacetate, and this oxaloacetate is then acted upon by phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase to form phosphoenol pyruvate. So finally there is a conversion of pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate, and from phosphoenol pyruvate the similar reversible reaction of glycolysis is continued, where there is production of 2-phosphoglycerate, 3-phosphoglycerate, 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate, then to triasugar, finally ending up in the next irreversible reaction catalyzed by 6-phosphofructokinase. So to catalyze this irreversible reaction, that is initially catalyzed by phosphofructokinase, the new enzyme, that is fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase, act over here, so that fructose 1,6-bisphosphate can be converted into fructose 6-phosphate. It is a key enzyme for the gluconeogenesis, as it is only present in liver, kidney and intestine, and absent in adipose tissue, cardiac muscle and smooth muscle. And the final irreversible reaction, that is first step of glycolysis, which is conversion of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate. So this conversion is done about by another key enzyme, that is glucose 6-phosphatase, that converts glucose 6-phosphate into glucose. So finally there is the production of glucose from pyruvate, and again glucose 6-phosphatase is present in liver and kidney and absent in brain and adipose tissues. So glucose 6-phosphatase and fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase, these two are the key enzyme for the final production of glucose from pyruvate. So this was about production of glucose from pyruvate. Now gluconeogenesis from amino acid. The carbon skeleton of glucosenic amino acid. Here, glucosenic amino acid are alanine, serine, cysteine, glycine, threonine, and tryptophan. These can be converted into pyruvate, and pyruvate can again go through the same process to form glucose. Gluconeogenesis from glycerol. So firstly, glycerol are liberated from adipose tissues by the hydrolysis of fat. So these hydrolysis product, that is glycerol, is converted by glycerokinase into glycerol 3-phosphate. Glycerol 3-phosphate is then acted upon by the enzyme glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase to form a triasugar, that is dihydroxyacetone phosphate, which is again the intermediate of glycolysis that can further convert into glucose. Now, gluconeogenesis from propionate. The oxidation of short chain fatty acid and breakdown of certain amino acid form the product propionyl coenzyme A, which is acted in the presence of ATP and biotin to form methyl malonyl coenzyme A. This methyl malonyl coenzyme A is converted to succinyl coenzyme A, which is again the intermediate of TCA cycle. So through the same process, the glucose is formed from propionate. The last one, an important one, that is gluconeogenesis from lactate. In actively contracting skeletal muscle, lactate is produced, which is the major precursor for gluconeogenesis. And under anaerobic condition, pyruvate is reduced to lactate by lactate dehydrogenase. And as the lactate is dead end of glycolysis, it must be reutilized because its accumulation can cause certain disease condition. So this process is very important, and it is also known as Cori's cycle. As we know, lactate is produced in muscle, and in this muscle, the key enzyme of gluconeogenesis is described earlier, that is glucose 6-phosphatase and fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase is absent. They are only present in liver, kidney. So due to the absence of these two enzymes, gluconeogenesis cannot occur in muscle. Hence, plasma membrane being freely permeable to lactate, it is carried from skeletal muscles or any other muscles to liver, where lactate is oxidized to pyruvate and gluconeogenesis is continued. So finally, moving on to the importance of gluconeogenesis. As we know, gluconeogenesis helps production of glucose from the non-carbohydrate precursors. So it helps to meet the glucose requirement when there is insufficient amount of carbohydrate in the diet. Second point is, during the period of starvation, there won't be deficiency of glucose in the body, because gluconeogenesis will cover the thing by producing glucose from non-carbohydrate precursors, and as well as maintain the intermediates of TCA cycle. It also helps to clear certain metabolites produced in the tissue, such as lactate, glycerol, and propionate. So as previously discussed, lactate is the end product of anaerobic glycolysis, which can be reutilized in gluconeogenesis for again the production of glucose. And about glycerol, it is produced by the hydrolysis of fat, which means when there is insufficient glucose, the fat undergoes hydrolysis to produce glucose again. So in a sense, there is the generation of lipolysis or breakdown of fat. And about propionate, it is again the breakdown product of amino acid or short chain fatty acid. This can also be reutilized from the gluconeogenesis. So for the erythrocyte, central nervous system, kidney, medulla, skeletal muscle, which are solely dependent upon glucose for the proper functioning, gluconeogenesis help to fulfill the energy demand at the site.